Thank you for joining us, and thanks for joining us, Brett.
Yep.
We're not doing cover crops just from a soil health factor here. We're really doing it from a profitability standpoint. On your farm, can you talk about that?
Yep. Well, I guess with the prices the way they've been the last couple years, just oats by itself, you're looking at a return to investment of probably somewhere in the $50 to $60 an acre range after you sell the straw and the oats. But then where you really make it up is, as an example, 2 years ago I grazed 87 pairs on 32 acres for 35 days. Well, if you start figuring that out, that's a savings in feed of about $6,700 to $6,800, and you divide that by 30 acres, and now it starts to make a lot more sense. You know, you can get your cows home, you're saving pasture, you're saving feed.
You have a cow-calf here. How many acres?
Yep, we farm about 800 tillable, and then we have a cow-calf operation about around 70 head normally. Doing the cover cropping for the last 6 years, been farming for 28. It's mainly corn, soybeans, oats, and then we've been double cropping the last 3 years.
You said about 6 years you started moving into the cover crop usage. Can you expand on that for me?
We're doing oats, and we were looking for something to kind of expand our grazing and our cattle feed. So we started with turnips, radishes, and canola, and whatever oats grew back, and we started grazing cattle on that in the fall.
So you mentioned RTR and oats, radish, turnip, rapeseed, also known as canola, and oats to be grazed. How do you go about doing that?
Well, for us, we have perimeter fencing around most of our fields. So we'll, after the oats is off and the manure spread, we'll come back and broadcast the cover crop mix and lightly mix or work that in. And then once that's up to enough where we can graze it, then we start cross fencing it, and we'll rotational graze how many ever acres we have for that year. And that way we can pull our cows off of pasture earlier, give our pastures a chance to grow back. Plus, them cows and calves just seem to really blossom when they get on that.
Do you provide a forage or something to keep the stools not too loose on your cattle, or is there anything extra you provide out there for them?
We will supplement a little bit of dry hay just to make sure we're not getting too wet. Also, with the oats in there, that seems to help too, having the grass in there. But that's pretty much all we do.
One of your oats fields you use for foraging and for your cow-calf. But I know your other oats field, after you harvest that small grain, you also use that as a dual use. Why don't you tell us about how you use that field?
The other field, if there isn't fence around it, we will go back in with triticale, and then what we do there is we'll either chop that or bale that for dry hay in the spring, and then come back in with a double crop of soybeans. And this year we did try one little 10-acre field of no-till corn, and we're going to see how that works. So, but with it being so dry, I'm not sure. It might end up being chopped again.
So what rate do you apply that triticale at when you plant it?
We do it the same as our winter rye at 2 bushels per acre.
Okay.
And we seed it the same. We just broadcast it and lightly incorporate it. We're not completely 100% no-till because we do quite a bit of manure, so we end up doing some ground work on most acres.
Yep. So you do take corn silage, and that's where you put your next cover dual use crop, which is rye.
With the cereal rye, we just broadcast that at 2 bushels an acre and lightly incorporate it. And on the rye, we have not done anything, changed anything on our chemicals. We are going to make one change next year for where our oats is going to go. we've been planting conventional corn and using atrazine and lattice, and wherever we go with oats, we are not going to be using atrazine.
Because you figure the residuals impacting that
Kind of
particular
like
crop.
pursuit years ago on beans would hurt oats. Now the atrazine is starting to pull our yields down.
In your chemical program, does it limit you diversifying with your rye though?
We haven't seen any negative effects to it with our current one. So, I mean, it's something we always keep an eye on. You just kind of watch, but so far we haven't made any huge changes to anything for chemical.
Have you seen any changes in your yields or different trends in addition to your forage benefits that you would want to talk about?
One of the main things we've seen on our soybean yields with adding another crop and diversifying our crop rotation, we've seen an increase of 5 to 8 bushels on any of the bean fields that have had oats in the rotation. And the other thing we've noticed is with the cover crops, our organic matters is starting to go up, and our corn fields, we're not requiring as much fertilizer because we're pulling up and storing more of that unused fertilizer for next year's crop.
Suggestions to somebody that has a cow-calf operation?
With the oats rotation, it gives us a chance to get manure out instead of being in the middle of that fall rush, and it also gives you extra feed. Dollars and cents wise, it makes a lot of sense. So the easiest thing is to just try it.
Where are you located? So if somebody wants to come out here and take a look at what you've done, you're going to be interseeding into those fields this year. What?
The one's going to get turnips, radishes, canola, and oats, and the other one will be triticale.
Okay.
And we are four miles west of Hardwick, and then the fields, one will be a mile north, and the other one will be a mile north and a half mile west. So, but they're not seeded yet. So hopefully we get some rain to get stuff growing.
As far as new producers in the area, if they were looking to talk to somebody that's already doing this,
yep, just
give a call. Stop by.
Yep.
We're going to have cover crop signs posted by some of these fields. There will be an email address on the website and contact information on the Rock County website. What's the plans for the future? Are you doing anything new?
Yeah, I'm going to do a little 4-acre field. I'm going to do 60-inch corn rows with advanced population on them rows, and then try interseeding to see if we can get close to the same yields, but also bump our fall grazing.
Excellent. Thank you for taking the time talking today.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Yep.
And these beans here, this is double crop beans following rye. They were planted on May 31st this year. Hog manure on now. This is actually going to be the field that's going to be grazed with turnips, radishes, oats, and canola. It's a little different for everybody. Everybody has their own different system and what works and what doesn't. And until you try it for yourself, you really can't say one way or the other.